Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion. Plays up Binding by AFTERBIRTH Plus. How was my sleep last night? I ain't had it yet. You know what I mean? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably fell asleep halfway through the last episode. It's a very relaxing one. Don't give me a Zazel 2 out of 3 times. You know what? I'll take it. You don't need a seed. You don't need a seed today. Yeah, it's the same day. I got a lot of Isaac ahead of me today. It's one of those things where, you know, it's nice having a job you can sink some time into, because if not, I'd just be sitting around losing Tetris games right now. I've been working on it. You know, Tetris 99, legitimately, I gotta tell you, it's not my game of the year, but I think it's number 2. I know we've done the game of the year discussion a few times. I think it is not fair to not make Slay the Spire my game of the year, especially because I think it might actually be like, don't tell Isaac, but I think it might be my favorite indie game of all time. It's balanced so nicely. You know, there's little patches that come out, like with the 4th character. I haven't played in maybe 2 weeks, to be honest, but there's patches that come out every day. Every day there's a new patch, which, you know, in its own way is actually frustrating, because just once you start to get used to a piece of equipment, they change it. But they're changing it, you know, with your best interests in mind. Not necessarily to make the game as easy as possible, but rather to make it, well, as, you know, where winning happens with the appropriate amount of your own input and ability, if that makes sense. I should not take this pill. That's a suicidal ask. We do have a second secret room. I appreciate infamy. I'm very happy with that. Explosive diarrhea? That's judgment. That is not even... Okay, so just... I forgot I was not holding a pill at the time. Look, I told you, my brain's bad right now. Bad sleeps. And overworked. Not overworked on YouTube, though. That's the other thing. I need to keep recording, because if I stop recording, I'm going to have to do packing. I would rather work than pack. Packing has to be done, but it's low on the list. If both things have to be done, give me more work than packing. Anyway. What was I talking about? Anyway, I was talking about Slay the Spire. It's a great game. I think Tetris 99 is honestly number 2, though. And I'll say it louder for the people in the back. It's a very common refrain from yours truly. But when people say they're sick of battle royales, I disagree, especially because the battle royale phenomenon lasted like less than 18 months. We are definitely, we're past it now, right? I know Fortnite is still popular and they just had Season 2, but, you know, they are no longer, like, you can't suggest that you can't shake a stick without finding a new battle royale, right? I don't know what the new hotness is yet, but it's not BRs, I think. Huge. I think if you're sick of battle royales, I get it. But also simultaneously... Please. Thank you! Also, simultaneously, I'm like, are you sick of battle royales, or are you sick of battle royale shooters? Because I think people are throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I want more battle royales in the non-shooter genre. And I know you're like, I know, I've heard you talk about this 20 times. But people still go BR Resident Sleeper. But you know what game I played on Twitch I have never seen BR Resident Sleeper in my chat for? Tetris 99. Instead, people type Tetris Pog Champ, which is a sign, if you're not familiar, on Twitch that they are having a great time. They think it's hype. You know what game, and I'll just tell you right out of the gate, I didn't like this game that much, even though I did play like 25 hours of it. But you know what game had a great sort of Battle Royale inspired multiplayer mode? Was Mario Tennis Aces. Now I think that game had other problems, namely, well, first off, Bowser Jr. was just disgusting. He was so overpowered. Thank you, Infamy. and at least at launch. And then secondarily, rather than being Tennessee to the same extent as like the N64 predecessor, it was much more like just set up for specials and spam them. At least that was the level that I saw. But in spite of that, the reason I played so much of that game is twofold. It came out the weekend I went back to my hometown to visit my parents, and I had nothing else to do. That's a big one. And while I was there, I also got, like, as sick as I've ever gotten in my entire life, so I wasn't able to really, like, leave the house at all. So played a lot of Mario Tennis Aces. But then the other reason was because the multiplayer mode was not just like, hey, play one game of tennis. Okay, be careful. Play one game of tennis against a random person. The multiplayer mode was like, I'm dead. I'm so dumb. That is entirely my own fault, by the way. Let's start again. I'm an idiot. I'm just a big dummy. Whatever. It doesn't hurt as bad when it's not on a... Hey, I just want to point out, how salty were we that we lost there? Like a 3 out of 10. That's, in my opinion, that's the sweet spot for the game. That's the first loss I have had in like a month where I wasn't like, well, we all knew mathematically that we were going to lose. It just finally had the merciful option where it happened. You know? In that one, it was like, hey, I made a mistake and I lost. Fair play. Anyway, what was I going to talk? It had a tournament style mode as its like default game mode, and you know it's not really a battle royale, but you know 1v1 multiplayer, I kind of sleep. When you queue, you're put in with 15 other people in a last man standing style tournament single elimination bracket. I wish more games had modes like that, because I think it's a really engaging sort of way to play games like that. You know, I've always had a soft spot for tournaments. So you can get like almost emergent gameplay over the course of a tournament that you can't get over the course of a single match. You know, you get storylines, you get comebacks, you get upsets, etc., etc. And you know, esports and sports know it. That's why, you know, every sport and every esport, you know, tournaments are kind of the predominant format for the most exciting part of the season, right? The playoffs. Except in, like, you know, British Premier League. But even then, they got Champions League. I know that's not a British Premier League thing. It's, you know, European soccer in general. But you get what I'm saying. Know what I'm saying? I wish more, especially, like, sports games, took that Mario Tennis approach. That was not the only bright spot of Mario Tennis Aces, I will admit. However, it was the brightest spot of all. And that's why I'm like, dude, it's got to be the right game. I'll admit to that. It's got to be the right game. You know, Mario Tennis worked because the matches were like under, I would say, 15 minutes long at most. Help. Why didn't I Fool card out if I was gonna use the Sun card for no reason? If I was just gonna walk out, I could have taken the Sun. I told you, we got bad brain today. Anyway, apply the PUBG formula to more games, please, is all I'm trying to say. Like, what? Racing games with the PUBG formula, last car standing, you know, could be fun. But they're cowards. They won't return my telephone calls. Instead, it's all, you know, tournament. One circuit. Hot lap. Nah. I also feel like I need to come to bat for battle royales. Because I like the mode. But I'm bad at most shooters. I'm going to be 100% honest with you, okay? You won't believe me. But you can ask Josh. You can ask Malf. Either one. When we played games growing up, you know, shooters still obviously insanely popular when I was a teenager. I was really, really good at them. So why am I not good at them now? 'Cause I spent all those formative years playing on the dang old Xbox. And then the world has turned and left me here. You know, I'm going for it, dude. Let's have some fun. The world has turned and left me here. Consoles have gone from being the definitive place to play games like that. And you might be like, you could take issue with that sentence if you want. But look, I know Counter-Strike, Quake 3 Arena, etc., etc. But they were the most popular place to play shooters when I was a teenager. Thank you. I really needed this. I grew up in the is PC gaming dead era. And I was like, I don't know, but the magazine said so, I had to be a returning PC gamer. And I think that's why my gaming prowess for shooters is really bad on the PC. You know, I have thousands of hours in shooters. But it's all with the original Duke Xbox controller. My muscle memory is backwards and broken, you know? I backed the wrong horse. Okay, definitely, like, do not do what I did there. I got very greedy. Just kill this guy. Use it. Use it. There you go. So, I think outside of first-person shooters, and maybe third-person shooters as well, I'm actually pretty good at video games. I know. It runs counter to the commonly held wisdom. I want more battle royales. They just have to not all be first-person shooters. That's my 2 cents on that subject. I know I'm just repeating myself. I don't know what other games you could make into Battle Royale. I know that Spellbound is coming out. Isn't there like a top-down, like magical Wizard Wars style Battle Royale? I'm all in, baby. I'm ready. Sign me up for the beta. I can sign myself. You don't need to sign me up for the beta. I'll sign on myself. I think we should try to become Guppy. I am very stunned, but also, you know, can I be honest? I'm a little grateful that we lost an Azazel run, because it reminded me we can lose runs based on our own lack of skill, where the game actually met us halfway. If anything, it threw me under the bus to make the game look a little bit better. I support that. You know what's crazy is, like, this doesn't happen very often. But a game has come out. I haven't played it, and to be honest, things are really busy right now. I may not get a chance to play it. Maybe ever, but definitely for a while. But usually when you're looking at, like, you know, the best games of the year, in terms of reviews, I'm not saying you could spot them a mile away, but you kind of know, you know? You know, oh, Divinity, one of the best games of the year. Sure, not a surprise, you know? Blah, 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 one of the best games of the year. Not a surprise. Like when a Legend of Zelda game comes out and it gets, like, you know, 9s or greater across the board, nobody's like, wow, I didn't expect that. But this game came out on PC this week called Disco Elysium. And I'll just be honest with you, I had not heard of the game at all until it came out. But it is getting, like, Game of the Year level reviews. And I gotta, I mean, I want to peep it, don't get me wrong. It might not be much fun to play on YouTube because of the fact that, oh, it's an isometric, character-driven, dialogue-driven, narrative-driven RPG. But I'm like, dude, when you see reviews that good, you gotta at least, you know, give it a check. I think it's really cool, you know? It might happen, like, once a year. A game like that will come out, I think. If even. Like, games have definitely come out of nowhere. Like, I feel like Noida has kind of come out of nowhere. I've said my piece on Noida. I do not think, in any stretch of the imagination, Noida is a bad game. And I should definitely, you know, give it more than the original hour I've given it so far. But for whatever reason, I lack the hook with Noida that a lot of people seem to be finding. You know, when I have played Noida, there is no drive in my body to be like, I'm gonna stay up and play this until the sun comes out. But I see people tweeting stuff like that. Obviously, like Mouth Bear and Dan have been enjoying the game immensely as well. And I'm like, honestly, I do not feel superior because I'm not in that boat yet. I feel extremely jealous. I'm like, if I could find the hook for me for Noida, I would love to. But I haven't found the hook yet. That's not to say it doesn't exist. Like, if I can talk about Slay the Spire again. You know, when I first played Slay the Spire, I went like, hey, it's pretty fun. I don't know. We could probably play it on, like, YouTube for, like, a month or so. You know, cue, like, years later. Finally completed A20. I really thought we'd get him with the orbital there. Finally completed A20 as every character. So looks can be very deceiving. I'm definitely not suggesting that, you know... let me put it this way. You'll never see a tweet from me that's like, I don't understand. What am I missing about Noida? It doesn't look that good to me. I think that's a very negative way to approach a situation like this. Instead, I'll tweet something like, what's wrong with me? Why does everybody else in committee like Noida, and yet I can't seem to find that hook for myself? I gotta figure it out. But rest assured, I'm not the roguelite guy, but I am a roguelite guy. There are many roguelite people out there. Thank you very much. I am just one of them. I have no economic advantage to saying I don't like Noida. I'm happy that so many people are enjoying it. But yeah, Noida, I mean, is a good example. I'm trying to think of, like, other stuff. It's, you know, in hindsight, it's hard to tell. But, like, Super Meat Boy came out of nowhere in 2010. I feel like Braid came out of nowhere. World of Goose sort of came out of nowhere. Limbo sort of came out of nowhere, etc., etc., etc. But we're getting way, way back now. We don't need to go that far back. You don't want to go too far back. You might go back to the past to play the crappy games that suck. You know. You know what I'm going to say. The Angry Video Game Nerd, perhaps you've heard of him. Used to be known as the Angry Nintendo Nerd until a cease and desist from Doug Bowser showed up at his doorstep. Yo! Infestation 2. As far as sequels go, Infestation 2 is up there. Evil Dead 2, better than the original. Rocky 2, worse than the original. Rambo 2, different than the original. Infestation 2, might as well be the original. Did you guys know that Grease has a sequel? A lot of people don't know that there is a Grease 2. You know, Grease, the movie with John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John. Olivia Newton-John Travolta. There's a sequel to it. All I remember... It's one of those things that you know the sequel is bad if you've known about the existence of the original movie for like 20 years and you only found out the sequel existed like a couple months ago. I remember being like 16. I was at my grandparents' house and Grease 2 was playing on TV on like a Thursday at noon. And I was like, even at that relatively young age, I was like, there is no way this movie could possibly have any sort of enduring legacy of positivity. And that is indeed the case. Grease 2 is pretty terrible. I do love, though, it's one of my favorite peculiar movie genres is completely unnecessary sequels. Like, there are some movies you understand why they had sequels. The Matrix had bad sequels. I think most people are in agreement. The only disagreement is which one do you prefer? The Matrix 2 is probably the worst of the three, but it is kind of fun, at least. Like, you know what's a good analog, actually? The Matrix 2 is kind of like Star Wars Episode 1. It's pretty amateurish. You know, it's aged really badly. There's a lot of questionable decisions. The Matrix 3 is kind of like, it's like Attack of the Clones. It's maybe made a little bit better, but it's so boring. It's like, I'll level with you. I'm one of those people that very much disagrees with the consensus that Episode 2 is the worst of the Star Warses. I think that Episode 1 is by far the worst. And it gets way too much credit for having 1 to 2 good scenes. Episode 2, also, it's bad in cringy ways. I'll admit, you know, the sand conversation, Anakin's edginess and moodiness, Padme falling in love with him for no reason. Really bad, like, obviously, like, poorly choreographed fight scenes, etc., etc. I still think, in spite of all, I would never, ever suggest that Episode 2 is a good movie. I saw it in theaters in 8th grade and knew it was bad at the time. For an 8th grader to go to see a new Star Wars movie and be like, man, it kind of sucked. You failed somewhere. Now, mind you, I was kind of a snobby 8th grader, which will surprise nobody, but still. I still think it's better than Episode 1, and I've seen both pretty recently. But I do prefer The Matrix 2 to The Matrix 3 for whatever reason. I guess, like, The Matrix 2, you had hype going into it at least. You were like, whoa, I gotta see what Neo's capable of. And the answer was rescuing one elderly man from a couple of Scandinavian twins. Twins, Basil? Either way. Despite the fact that The Matrix 2 and 3 are not very good movies and are vastly inferior to the original, they are movies where at least you're like, The Matrix 1, it baited a sequel, right? It's not like that was a movie where it ended on like a really, really definitive note, and then the sequel felt like tacked on. That movie was kind of built for sequels. But then, like, there's some stuff where you're like Blade Runner is actually a really interesting example. Blade Runner has one one ambiguous little bit in the movie that people have talked about for years, but in no way, you know, was a sequel something that you would have expected with like 100% reliability to have happened. And yet it turned out amazingly, by the way. Not all unnecessary sequels turn out badly. But there's weird examples, like Wall Street 2. Why the heck are there 2 Wall Street movies? Oliver Stone. It's like a movie was a disproportionate, unexpected success at the box office, and you're like, well, we gotta make another one. It's just weird, you know? I'm trying to think of other examples. You know what? I bet I could just piggyback off of somebody smarter than me and go search the internet. Unnecessary movie sequels. And we'll give credit, but we'll also use it as a jumping off point for conversation, if you don't mind. I don't know, have you seen the actually surprisingly half-decent 2019 movie Escape Room? It's actually pretty good, but they do get to they bait sequel halfway through, and you're like, man, not everything has to be Marvel Cinematic Universe. What? And I say the same thing about A Quiet Place, okay? Like, I like A Quiet Place. I don't love it. I like it. Why you gotta make a sequel? You know why you gotta make a sequel? The first one made $180 million. Totally unnecessary movie sequels. The most unnecessary sequels of all time. All right, Variety. Son of the Mask. Absolutely fantastic example. Why did we need another movie, another mask? Okay, you know what? S. Darko. Another great example. We did not need another Donnie Darko. That movie, it tackles everything appropriately. Okay, well, you're getting into some tricky stuff here. I will say Wall Street 2 is on the list. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Look, I'm going to be that guy. And I've been this guy before. I saw the movie when it came out into theaters. And I liked it. I didn't love it. I liked it. It felt like just about everybody kind of liked it at release, okay? I'm going out on a limb with this one because this is a... Here's the thing. You should trust me to be honest with you because this is an unpopular opinion. It's very easy to just give the internet the opinions they want to hear, but I wouldn't be able to live with myself. So I gotta hit you with my honest interpretation. I saw the movie with friends of mine. We all went, yeah, it wasn't great. And there's, you know, when he's swinging with the monkeys, it's a little weird. And the nuke in the fridge part is obviously nonsensical. But all I'm saying is in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, when people are walking across an invisible bridge, I didn't hear anybody go, oh, well, that's completely impossible that there would be an invisible bridge there. The laws of... I guess the difference is that invisible bridges are kind of in line with the supernatural tone of the movie, whereas, you know, nuclear weapons and refrigerators actually exist in the real world. So that's fair. You got me on that one. But I swear everybody, for me, seemed to kind of fall on that movie like it was a 6 out of 10. And then that South Park episode came out that was like, this is a piece of garbage. And I swear to you, all of my friends' opinions changed overnight. It's like they didn't want to be on Cartman's bad side. I think that South Park did a hit job on Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. It is their right, by the way. I mean, my show has probably done very, like, minuscule hit jobs on other media properties. There are media properties I'm not an enormous fan of, and I talk about them on my show. I'm not saying that South Park is, beyond their rights. Merely all I'm suggesting is that I believe that the public perception of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull has been irreparably tainted by a seed of discontent sowed fairly or unfairly by the television program known by the name of South Park. That's my 2 cents, okay? Was it an unnecessary sequel? Yes. I will admit. Doesn't mean bad, but, you know. I will admit that in hindsight, the Indiana Jones franchise probably works a lot better in legacy as a trilogy instead of also having a 4th movie attached that is, like, at best, not a complete disaster. That's fair. What else is on here? Blues Brothers 2000 is just absolutely awful, for sure. Dirty Dancing 2, okay, fair enough. Speed 2, I was actually going to mention that. Oh, God, Dumb and Dumberer. I totally forgot. Yes, Dumb and Dumberer is just an absolute disaster. Grease 2? What did I tell you? The Hobbit sequels? Ooh, spicy take, but I do agree. The Matrix Revolutions? It's great minds think alike. Star Wars episodes 1 to 3? Ooh. The Godfather Part 3? Oh, now it's just clickbait. Now that's just clickbait. Anyway. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. It's a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time. See ya!